Hello everybody, I'm some Loudmouth on the internet with an opinion, and I run a special channel called Loudmouth Reviews. And like the owner of this channel, I also am a white YouTuber. Well, I got a little bit of Arabic blood in there in me, just a teeny bit, but by the whole one-drop rule of YouTube, I am also a white YouTuber. And as a white YouTuber who has libertarian leanings, I am a big believer in freedom of speech. That's why the subject of social media censorship is of great concern to me.
Same here, my man, because if I can't live in a world where I get to say what I want to say, I would probably jump out a window.
And of course, social media censorship is usually pushed by various forces within the regressive left. And there's nowhere on YouTube that's more utterly regressive than the Young Turks.
No, please not the Young Turks, please. I promised I wouldn't do videos on them.
Let's listen and respond to their take on Twitter censorship, shall we?
In an effort to continue addressing harassment on social media.
I know I'm cutting into what she's saying, douchey thing to do, but just listen to what she just said. Harassment. Harassment. A very vague word nowadays. Harassment. On Twitter, or sorry, social media.
Addressing harassment on social media, Twitter has rolled out a new way of cracking down on bullies and people who want to harass you. So this is interesting, and I think it'll probably lead to some positive change for the platform. The changes include preventing serial abusers from creating new accounts, also a new safe search function, and blocking potentially abusive and low-quality tweets from appearing in conversations.
Now, the question there, of course, becomes, what determines a low-quality tweet from a normal or high-quality tweet? The answer is, I don't know. Nobody really knows, and that's really the problem. You might think that some low-level employee at Twitter will be judging your tweets and determining your tweets are low quality and his tweets are high quality, but the truth is, it's actually much worse than that. As an automated algorithm will be scanning people's tweets, and by incredibly arbitrary methods, by incredibly vague standards, will randomly assign certain tweets as low quality and certain other tweets as high quality, and will start hiding your tweets without any kind of due process whatsoever. You won't even know that you're being silenced, much less have any ability to appeal it.
Now, the new safe search function prevents tweets that are abusive or from blocked and muted accounts from appearing in users' search results. People search for things on Twitter?
Yeah.
I've never searched for anything on Twitter. These tweets can still be found if people want to see them, but they won't clutter search results any longer.
So basically, Twitter is blocking or quote-unquote unlisting something without you manually doing it yourself. Isn't that kind of just taking away from the user? Isn't that taking away from the individual and going, hey, listen, we know what might bother you, so we're going to just give it a chance to not bother you. That's called censorship. That's called muting.
This is my personal opinion, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a serious dick move to ever mute anybody. I've blocked people a few times for good reasons, but I have never muted a single person. Because at least when you block them, you're clearly telling them you don't want to have any contact with them anymore, and you're sending it a clear message that they can easily determine. But when you mute someone, you got them wasting their time possibly tweeting at you, and they can't hear it. They don't know if you're just ignoring them or if you're muting them. Honestly, that just seems a lot more mean-spirited in my eyes. Blocking someone at least sends a very clear message. So, muting, don't do it.
And I have to look into this to see if it actually applies. One thing that I've noticed about Twitter is if you mute someone and then you tweet, and that person decides to send you whatever abusive message that they want, if you look at the conversation in the thread, that muted person will show up, right? Because they're not blocked, they're muted, so they'll still show up in the conversation.
You know, seeing abusive tweets by someone in your comment thread is such a problem. Block them. You already have the ability to do that on Twitter. You've always had the ability to do that on Twitter. Why does Twitter need to start shadow banning a bunch of people to make it so that you can do something you already have the ability to do yourself? And yes, I know that Twitter is full of assholes who will tweet rude and nasty stuff at you for little to no reason. But changes to policy like this essentially treat Twitter's audience like a bunch of children who can't handle even the slightest mean stuff and can't even be trusted to do something as simple as use the block button. Screw that shit.
My man Pots and Pans bringing up some great points. I just don't get it. Why do people need to be spoon-fed? Why do people need to be babied? You have the ability to block people. You can easily do it. If you go,
I don't want to hear from this person anymore. This person is harassing me. This person is being a bully or whatever.
whatever the purpose is, you have the chance to block that person. Why do you need Twitter's help to do it? I don't understand. Don't you want to be an individual who can handle their own problems? And if someone really is harassing and threatening you, and you really believe that that is dangerous, you can always report it. You have that possibility. You don't need Twitter or anyone else to hold your fucking hand.
I don't know if this changes that, but I think that that would be helpful. Also, Twitter will now collapse tweet replies that are potentially abusive or low quality, like duplicate tweets or content that appears to be automated. So I think that this is a good, additional step toward addressing Twitter. I just don't really care for Twitter anyway.
Yo, honestly, look, here's what it is.
Yo, let me give you the downright scoop.
No, look.
Okay,
I applaud Twitter for what they're doing, okay? First, I mean, it sucks. It's my least favorite social media platform because it's just largely vitriolic, like racist eggs running around, or Pepe the Frog memes that are just like, you should kill yourself, you Muslim piece of shit, or like fake Hassan Piker accounts that praise Allah and ISIS.
So Twitter is largely this? I wonder how they've been so successful with this being their large form of content.
And, I hate it because it sucks, and everyone else knows that they hate it, but a big part of the active usership is still those assholes. So Twitter is essentially cutting that chunk of the audience, that chunk of active usership, and saying, no, we're going to get rid of these people, or we're going to try to do as much as we possibly can in order to make it a fun environment for everyone to utilize as a social media platform.
Whoa, go back to what you just said.
In order to make it a fun environment for everyone.
The key word right there is everyone. And you do realize that this negatively affects some people, aka negatively affecting everyone. So yet again, this doesn't make it fun for everyone. This is actually hindering a lot of people for what they want to say.
Now, I applaud them because social media is a new concept. And as humans, we haven't been able to wrap our heads around it. There are a lot of people that just simply do not understand how to operate on social media. Anthony Weiner sending dick pics out, for example, just was one.
Or Sean Spicer tweeting his password.
I know, like, oh, Jesus Christ, that was such a good example.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And we are adapting, we're evolving, and we're developing some sort of etiquette around it. And Twitter is kind of leading the charge in that way.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to point the finger and be like, oh, they're curbing back my freedom of speech.
I think an important thing to note here is that everything that you might find offensive, any trolling, will still be accessible. If you mute it, it's still there. So nothing is being censored, nothing is being taken out. If you want to find those things, and sometimes I do. Like, I sometimes like to see what's the bad stuff that Twitter doesn't want me to see, or like there are some accounts that I've muted that didn't like me for gay reasons, literally, and sometimes I like to check up on them.
But for someone to really get noticed in social media, they need to be able to have wide exposure in more generalized searches, not just incredibly specific ones where people are specifically looking for them. Since obviously if you're an unknown figure, people are not going to be specifically looking for you. In order to get noticed, your tweets need to be able to be seen in a free realm of ideas, and such shadow banning prevents that from happening. So yes, they are indeed silencing people when they engage in shadow banning tactics.
Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, sometimes I like to just like
People
see like
attack
what
you.
Yeah,
You were like the.
Come on,
Welcome
look at
to
me.
the internet, Anna.
But look, I think,
at her.
but look at
that's-
me. I think but I do think it's important
You're
that we
so
know.
likable.
I can't, see, this is one of the reasons why I don't like doing videos on the Young Turks. This is all an act. This is all just a little play that they're putting on.
It's me. It's mostly me. I'm attacking her on Twitter.
That's what they're going to stop him from making all these fake accounts where he keeps attacking me.
I hate you.
I think it's important that no one is being censored here. No one's being shut down. It's just sort of being muted if that's what you want, but you can unmute it if it's also not what you want.
I know this isn't going to be that much of a rebuttal, but that made zero fucking sense.
Also, a thing to point out is that troll communities are communities, and they're sort of little ecosystems within themselves. So things that we might not want to see, that, we won't see them, but things that they won't want to see, they won't see them either. So, for example, you mentioned the Pepe for the Frog communities, and a lot of, sort of the alt-right that exists on Twitter and communicates.
The white supremacists,
That's such a low blow, but of course we'll allow that, but we won't allow the other stuff, so whatever, go on.
Right, that exists within themselves, and they communicate with each other, and on Twitter, they will still be able to communicate with each other. But, if I inject myself being like feminism, then they can block me and mute me too. So I think it's actually very,
Do they not want to see you though? They definitely want to hear you say feminism so they can just
so that they can
write something back to you. Just be like, yeah, you're transgender. I got her. And then they're jerking off in a corner. Oh, man.
So and a lot of, sort of the alt-right that exists on Twitter and
The
communicates.
white supremacists,
Oh, boy.
And they're jerking off in a corner. Oh, man.
So basically making fun of people, aka saying they're jerking off in a corner, or calling people white supremacists because they're part of the alt-right, I would guess from what you're saying, be okay in your book, but the other stuff, it makes sense that Twitter would mute them. Jeez, you guys are being, what's that 4-letter word that gets overused but is sometimes right? Oh yeah, that's right, bias, yes, you guys are being very biased.
I think, and also, I take this with a grain of salt, but a BuzzFeed survey surveyed 2,700 Twitter users, and 90% of respondents said that the social network did nothing after they reported abuse.
Well, of course, I haven't been able to look into the specifics there. I'm going to venture an educated guess that the reason why 90% of people didn't get a response to their claims of abuse is because no actual abuse was happening. Just privileged millennial snowflakes trying to silence an opinion they read on Twitter they didn't like.
So Twitter is responding. I think they're doing it in a responsible way, but I think we should still be cautious and see how this rollout happens, because I hope there isn't any censorship. It doesn't sound like there is. I've used the mute feature a lot.
My man, I'm really trying to dispute what they're saying with logic and reason, but fuck, did I just hear that right?
Because I hope there isn't any censorship.
prevents tweets that are abusive or from blocked and muted accounts from appearing in users' search results.
It doesn't sound like there is.
Can someone help me?
I'm dying. Help me.
But still, I don't know. There's a little bit of a check and balance system and sort of a getting into gear thing that we'll need to see how that adjusts.
For me, Twitter, social media use is something that, especially if you work in news or you're a public figure, it's something that you're encouraged to do, right? And so you're encouraged to do it. It's like, oh my God, what's her following? Does she have a good following?
Shut the fuck up. No one cares. Know your fucking place. Trash.
Why is it all Valley Girls that are meeting executives?
Whoa, Valley Girls. Did you just assume the character that she was portraying's gender?
Because that's like the superficial type of conversation that happens behind the scenes when it comes to your value in any type of field involving public.
Do you?
Anna, why are you being so coy? We already know your value. You've told us before.
But am I saying that I'm better than you? I guess I'm going a little further than you are. Yeah, I'm fucking better than you, okay? Much better than you. You are garbage.
Help me.
Have a good following.
Yeah.
But the thing is...
Hold on. Let me just finish for a second.
Sorry.
But for me, Twitter was never about oh my God, what are my numbers? I want to know what my numbers were. Twitter was an alternative form of getting information. Prevents tweets that are abusive or from blocked and muted accounts from appearing in users' search results.
Yeah.
It was a way of getting news that wasn't covered by mainstream press.
Bullshit. With a 140 character limitation, Twitter is useless to disseminate news and useless for any nuanced debate. Twitter almost perfectly exists for web trolls because of the 140 character limitation.
And so there was a very important value there that I think unfortunately has been muddied because of some of the behavior that you see with some of the users. There are people who will use it as a tool for information or mobilizing individuals for political activism. And then, of course, like anything else in society, that same tool will be abused. And so you have to find a balance between using it for the right reasons and trying to avoid the downsides of it. And for Twitter, it became so difficult after a while that I was just like, I'm done. Right? Mm-hmm. And so the mentions, you just don't check them. Very rarely will I check them. And then whenever I do, I'm just like, oh my God, last time I checked, it was actually when we hosted on Friday together. And before we went on air.
Oh, you don't look at your Twitter anymore?
I don't. No. But last time I did, and it's rare, was before I went on air Friday with Grace and Brett, and Grace and JR. And you remember what I said before we went live?
Oh yeah, you hated it. You were like, I don't know why, like, what is the point? Because it can be so...
What is the point of what?
What is the point of doing this?
Yeah, I was like, what is the point of what we're doing?
It was so disheartening, because I'm sure you opened up your Twitter mentions and it was just a barrage of people that do not like you, and you're...
Oh my God. Oh Jesus. How could you deal with it? How did you actually look through all those messages and go, how am I gonna tell my mama? I can't go home and tell mom about the bad tweets that was...
your opinions
it's
and
not
how
even
you
about
present
people,
the news.
It's not even about people not liking me. That's fine. I can be very unlikable, and I'm aware of that, right? So that's not what I was more concerned about. I'm concerned about just certain ideologies that actually cause harm to the very people who are spouting them out. So it was about, defunding schools like UC Berkeley, and the number of people were like, yeah, let's do away with education. It's like, no.
And of course, as so many response videos from so many YouTube channels have noted so many times, it is 100% impossible for the Young Turks to ever make any video on anything without making a straw man argument. Nobody who was talking about defunding UC Berkeley did it because they opposed education. They did it because they were angry that the university was tolerating riots over a speaker.
Dude, thank God that you responded to it, because I was about to go in for a solid 2 to 3 minutes on that bullshit line.
No, but that is like the one thing that gives you power in society, right? Being educated, being knowledgeable. It's the one thing that gives you opportunities. And so, like, that's why I got so angry, because it's like, wait, if people are fighting against things that actually benefit them, like, what are we doing? So anyway,
but that's largely what, like, middle class or anyone in the middle class that's Republican is doing all the time whenever they vote Republican. Actually, now when they vote Democrat too, ironically. I mean, unfortunately, that's what our society has become.
What? How did that... What?
But...
So anyway, look, Twitter's trying, and I respect them for that. I've been very critical of them in the past, and the fact that they're taking this issue seriously is good. And look, you have to find ways to, I don't know, adjust your social media usage so you get the information you want while filtering out all the garbage. And unfortunately with Twitter, there's still a lot of garbage.
If there's such an opportunity, though, if there's so many people that are like, oh man, but I want to say racist shit on the internet, then, like, why can't you have, like, someone should just come out and instead of doxing people, just, like, make a alternative Twitter with alternative facts, and then everyone can go on there. Just do it.
What we got with this video was a very, very typical Young Turks video, aka it was full of simplistic nonsense, various straw man arguments, and completely missing the point of the subject matter they're talking about. But the thing is, this subject matter is quite serious. With all of Twitter's users, which I know their users are declining, but they still have many, Twitter has enormous power to silence people, and they have enormous influence over what information disseminates to the public. So when they do things like shadow banning people without them even knowing, it can seriously impact what you hear. Alright, that is why everyone should push back against this social media censorship. Yes, these are private corporations. Yes, they can do what they want without violating the First Amendment. But they violate the spirit of the First Amendment when they silence people like this.
Oh my God, listen man, let me just tell you one thing. That guy in the middle there with the Young Turks,
and like they're jerking off in a corner.
I didn't even care enough to learn his fucking name. Oh, what a wet blanket. No humor and just wasn't adding anything. He didn't add anything. Oh my God. When it comes to Twitter, they're allowed to do what they want when it's, in terms of being legal, they're allowed to do whatever they want. They're a private entity. So if you don't like it, you can always leave, but you can also voice your opinion. You can also voice, hey, listen, I don't think this is a good move for you guys, and these are the reasons. You can do whatever you want when it comes comes to speech. Twitter's not violating any rules, but you can also say, hey guys, I don't agree with this and here are the reasons why. And with this rule in particular, I personally don't agree with it. One of the main reasons I don't agree with it, and it's not Twitter's fault entirely, but it's the word harassment and the way people use it today. People have shoved so much gray area in that word where things that 10, 5, maybe even a couple years ago that weren't harassment are now deemed harassment, especially online. So that's not really Twitter's fault on the whole, but that's the thing. That's the gray area that they play with this new rule.
Alright everyone, I'm some loudmouth on the internet. You just heard my opinion. Big thanks to the white YouTuber for allowing me on his channel, and be sure to check me out on my own channel, Loudmouth Reviews, where you hear my movie reviews, commentaries, editorials, and other opinions, as well as funny parodies from time to time, and follow me on Twitter at LoudmouthR.
Well, there you have it, you guys. If you want to subscribe to Loudmouth and Reviews channel, the link to his channel will be in the description below. It was really awesome working with him, even though I really despise the Young Turks, and maybe despise isn't even the right word. I guess I just have no feelings on them, to be honest with you. But hey, this was a great video, so like I said, check out his channel, link in the description below. This was fun, this was cool, this was real. Anyways, later, bye. White YouTuber out.